Hello there, Coastal Bend. This is Meteorologist Carly Smith with your weather impact alert update. What you need to know is we're talking dangerous currents. That is going to be downshore currents or longshore currents and rip currents. Minor coastal flooding is going to be a concern, as well as we are seeing the ripple effect from Helene, which is brewing and growing and strengthening in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Good morning, everyone. This is Meteorologist Carly Smith. The current time is 10:11 a.m. on this Thursday, and we are already starting to see our wave action picking up. But latest update from the National Hurricane Center does have Hurricane Helene, now currently a Category 2 hurricane, 105-mile-per-hour winds, so still strengthening as it continues to move north-northeast now, starting to pick up speed, 14 miles per hour. So this is a very strong Category 2, expected to be a strong Category 3 at landfall. But yeah, starting to look very organized on the visible satellite imagery. You can't quite see an eye yet, but you can see the convection around the eye, and that is a sign that this system is continuing to try to strengthen as we're starting to see that eye wall trying to develop. Look at that, and this is some of the top end. So what our satellites do, this is the GOES 16 satellite. They actually just launched a new one, by the way, that we'll start using eventually. But what this GOES 16 satellite does is it can focus in on one section of the map or of the globe and get updates every minute for that one area. And so this is really focused in on Helene, and you're starting to see that eye wall really starting to develop, which is a sign of a stronger hurricane. We don't see the eye walls in the weaker systems, and so the stronger it is, the more defined that eye is going to become. Here's a look at, again, from, this is our infrared satellite imagery. You can see the eye wall a little bit better on this imagery, but there's still some convection showing up in the center, so it's not quite organized just yet, but it's working on it. And so by Thursday evening, that's today, right? This is in our time, so if you're watching from Florida, it's not local time. Hopefully you're watching local meteorologists there in Florida. They're going to have the most up-to-date information for your local impacts. But in Texas time, so Central Time, landfall is anticipated after 7 p.m., just after 7 p.m. And right now it's 10:13 a.m., so that is not that far away, not that far away at all. Anticipating 120-mile-per-hour winds as the system is approaching landfall. Again, this is kind of on the upper end where the bend starts for Florida. The Big Bend area, major impacts across much of Florida. You can see hurricane warnings extending all the way into Georgia as well. So big impacts across the area. Rainfall, another big impact with this system as it kind of merges with that upper level low there. What we are going to see is flash flooding expected anywhere from Florida all the way up into the Carolinas, possibly Virginia, the Appalachian Mountain area. Landslides will be possible, rushing water down those mountainsides into the creeks and rivers. And this is going to be into Kentucky and Tennessee as well. So devastating impacts not only from storm surge, which, by the way, I don't have this in this update, but storm surge expected to be up to 20 feet in the Big Bend region of Florida. That is huge. Additionally, we have the rain, we have the wind, and so major impacts from the system. Locally, we are going to see some minor coastal flooding on Texas beaches. So we have the flooding and the rip current risks. So what you need to do Thursday through Sunday is use extreme caution if you're headed to the beach or going to try to get in our water. We're already starting to see our wave action pick up. We've got 3 to 5 foot swells out at our buoys. A 24-foot swell showing up at the buoy off the coast of Florida there. So big wave action across the eastern Gulf. Dangerous conditions across that area. But even here locally, our waves are they're gonna clean up. So the swells are going to, or the period in between our swells is going to go up. We're anticipating later on today at least 8-second swells, maybe as high as 10-second swells. And so that will happen as the waves get bigger. And as both of those things get bigger, we are going to see our rip current risk go way up. So rip currents, they're hard to spot. Additionally, the longshore current may be pumping since we've got a northerly wind right now. And so the combination of those two things makes it really difficult to swim around in our local water. So just use extreme caution, right? Have the buddy system at play, know what you're getting into, and be prepared for this. Right now, 85 degrees at Packery Channel. High tide is at 3:09. So we have minor coastal flood advisory in place through Saturday morning. So expect that more so at the beach, the Gulf-facing beaches, than other locations. But high tide will be overnight, so that would impact camping, or if you drive down the National Seashore, keep in mind high tide is expected to come up overnight, and it could reach the dunes. Here's a look at the watches and warnings. So we've got the coastal flood advisory on the Saturday or through Saturday at 7 a.m. Small craft advisory for offshore waters until Friday morning at 11 a.m. For your wind forecasts, could still see some gusts around 30 miles per hour throughout today, but it will be weakening as we head into the evening. So the longshore current will be pumping at the most through about 2-4 p.m. and then we should see that improve at least. But the rip current risk continues. Here's our wave forecast. We're talking 2 to 4 foot waves easily. Could see some swells 4 to 6 feet, especially out at our buoys. And then once Helene makes landfall, again, devastating storm expected there for Florida, so definitely keep them in your thoughts, prayers. If you can donate, consider it. We could have a west wind and offshore wind at times, very calm conditions also on Friday. So personally, I'm looking forward to trying to surf on Friday. I'm going to check it out today, but Friday is going to be potentially a really nice day, not to mention sunshine, still low humidity. Yeah, we're about to get into that forecast too. But as you can see, wave heights do decrease basically flat by Sunday. And so any water that has come up will easily make its way back out to sea by Sunday, and where it's still pretty flat Monday into Tuesday. Now, something I'll point out, since I have extra time to talk right now, right, is we are going to see a chance for swells to pick back up again next week. So this is not this weekend, but next weekend, October 5th, we could see another system trying to develop somewhere in the Western Caribbean, anywhere between the Western Caribbean and the Bay of Campeche, and anywhere in the Gulf of Mexico at this point in time. All possible new development. So we are not done with the tropical season just yet. Wave forecast over the next 7 days, 2 to 4 foot waves. They will be falling throughout the day on Friday and then falling throughout the day on Saturday. But we do have that rip current risk at its worst, likely Thursday, Friday, Saturday, possibly into Sunday. Now, the next 3 days, if you're not at the beach or watching out for coastal flooding or rip currents, it's going to be so beautiful. We're talking 90s, but low humidity, low humidity. I can't hype that up enough. I cannot. There's a chance, yes, for coastal flooding. Yes, Kelsey, you are right. A lot of beach cleanups happening. So high tide is overnight. It's around 3 a.m. both tonight and into Saturday morning as well. It may be a little closer to 4 a.m. by Saturday. So as those beach cleanups are happening, the tide should be lowering. And the wave height still could be 4 foot though, and that will push extra water up on the beach. So personally, Sunday does look like a better day for some of those beach cleanups if they needed to be rescheduled. But overall, it's minor coastal flooding. So we're not anticipating any like huge, devastating type of flooding situation, but water could be up to the dunes during some of those beach cleanups. It should be going back out. The tide should be going back out throughout the morning, but you can wear. Let's talk about the feels like temperatures. So yesterday it felt like it was 106. Today it's going to feel like it's 92. So it is going to feel amazing outside. That's like a 14-degree temperature difference for your feels like temperature. I actually felt a little chilly this morning. Cool, we'll say cool. Cool this morning. I knew it was coming, but I wasn't quite ready for how it was going to feel because it's usually just so kind of even at 3 a.m. in the morning as I'm heading to work. But What you see here is it's currently 79, feels like it's 82, so there is a tiny bit of a heat index out there. But even into this afternoon, we're talking feels like temperatures in the low 90s. It's going to be wonderful. Here's a look across the area of those heat index values. So the white is your air temperature, the orange, it's kind of hard to see, that's the heat index. Basically, they're both about the same, and we'll be in the upper 80s, low 90s across the board. Look what happens tonight, y'all. Look at this. We're talking 60s across the coastal bend, except for right along the coast. So Port Aransas, Naval Air Station, so Flower Bluff, you may stay in the 70s, but it's going to feel so amazing tomorrow morning. I'm gonna need a jacket, y'all. Anyway, tomorrow we are a little hotter, but still heat index pretty much in check, very similar to the actual air temperature. So if we fall into the 60s tomorrow morning, which I am pretty confident we will, it will be about 130 days since we were last in the 60s. So that could possibly tie the 10th longest streak, but it won't be within the top 5. The top 5 are listed on the right. 159 days was the longest streak. We stayed at or above 70 degrees for the summer. So that is a pretty long time. On average, we've hit 70, or we've fallen under 70. We've hit the 60s by September 14th, so we are a little bit slower than average. Right now, here's a look at the moisture. So what's happening behind that cold front, why it actually feels cooler outside, is because dry air is in place. So all of that moisture is all of the rainfall that is going to be, or be responsible for all of the rainfall associated with Helene and the upper level low that's spinning over there kind of in the mid-Mississippi River Valley. We stay dry well into next week, which means we're gonna stay sunny, but look, moisture does look to return late next week, and that is when we will be watching for something that may try to develop down here. That Central American gyre is still working, so you can see it here. That's that counterclockwise rotation over Central America. So anything could still spin out while that's still active. So we got to keep an eye on that. But in your 7-day forecast, no concerns, just sunshine. Enjoy it. Grab the sunglasses, grab a cold beverage of your choice, and enjoy this beautiful weekend that we have ahead of us. That's going to do it. Wait, there is one more thing I wanted to point out. We do have, well, Hurricane John still. So this system in the Pacific has been really interesting. It's just kind of fluctuating back and forth. Hurricane, tropical storm, reached Category 3. Now it's back to Category 1. So Hurricane John has been causing some issues there for southern Mexico as it just kind of flirts there with the coastline. It's going to continue to do that over the next 48 hours or so. So that's not going to be a problem for us, but southern Mexico is really dealing with the brunt of John, and that is not a good scenario. Hurricane Helene, of course, we've been talking a lot about there in the Eastern Gulf, but also Tropical Storm Isaac actually formed overnight, or between yesterday morning and this morning. It's not going to be an issue for United States. It's going to be moving the opposite direction of tropical systems that we're used to. So that's going to be moving toward, typically they kind of form here and then they spin up. But anyway, this is Tropical Storm Isaac. It is going to be moving east instead of west. But we do have this 80% chance of development down into the Atlantic, the main development region. That likely will turn north. A couple of these models have it going a little bit more west, but it'll likely stay in the Atlantic and not be an issue. Not worried about it for Texas. What we are watching is anything else that may try to spin up from the Central American gyre. So that's your tropical overview. That is all I have for you. Enjoy the sunshine. Thank you all for watching. I will be signing off from this live update for your weather impact alert day, by the way, but only if you're at the beach. I'm meteorologist Carly Smith for 3 News First Edition. Thank you so much for watching.